Hello and welcome to Different Perspectives. I'm Paul Ndiho. In this series, we unpack Africa's big business and tech stories through diverse voices on the ground. And today, we are looking at Jumia Africa, often dubbed as the Amazon of Africa, and its bold move to move into rural Nigeria and other parts of Africa. While some see it as a major step toward digital inclusion, others raise questions about access, infrastructure, and long term impact. This episode is part of Ndiho Media's African CEO series, revisits a conversation with former Jumia Nigeria CEO Massi Spalazzi and brings in voices from across the ecosystem to explain what this expansion really means.
Thank you for having me. My
Uh,
pleasure.
Likewise, it's a pleasure talking to you for the first time.
Thank you.
So, right off the bat, let's start off by you telling us a little bit about Jumia. You are the CEO of Jumia Nigeria. You recently did a lot of upgrades, and now you've expanded Jumia's foothold into the rural communities in Nigeria. Bring us up to speed.
Jumia Nigeria has been the first country actually launched in the group. It's the oldest, with the biggest, and with obviously with the biggest potential, as we know, across all the countries. We've been operating in these markets different verticals. So we have marketplace. We have Jumia marketplace. It's typical physical goods. So products such as shoes, apparel, phones, electronics, appliances, and more sold to customers. You have Jumia Food, which is the on-demand platform, which is actually delivering meals to customers who want to have their lunch or dinners delivered in 20, 30 minutes. Okay. We have Jumia Pay, which is our financial side of the business, which allows customers and vendors to do better transactions on Jumia cashless. And then on these three, we actually have built two other pillars of the company, which are on one side, Jumia Logistics for external clients. So we built a very big operations around our logistics because of the customers we serve in many cities across Nigeria. And we started to offer this kind of service to external clients who could benefit from our kind of services. Last but not least, we have Jumia Advertising, which allows anyone to advertise on the Jumia platform, be it vendors that are actually selling on Jumia or external parties, such as banks, insurances, or vendors that are actually not yet selling on Jumia but would like to be exposed on the platform. The platform is actually one of the means that reaches the most amount of people online in the countries we operate in. And on these five, we built the company and the ecosystem of Jumia in the past years. When it comes to the last few months, in Nigeria particularly, we've always been very strong in serving the needs of the customers across all the country. So our presence across the country is big. We have over 250 pickup stations and hubs that deliver through pickup station or door to door the customers. And we particularly wanted to scale our presence of pickup station in order to go and serve better even the furthest people living in rural areas, so that to provide retail where there is none. Okay. So the whole idea is that there is a need, of course, across the country, and that need needs to be satisfied, and Jumia can bridge the gap of logistics, offer, and variety on many categories such as electronics, phones, fashion, and more, and allow customers to purchase at convenience by going and walking near the nearest pickup station and get the products they wanted.
I like the fact that you guys have done your very best to reach even to the poorest of the poorest. I'm just curious, what's the reaction been like since you expanded these services to the rural communities?
I think it's very important to also maybe step back and describe a bit what Nigeria is. So Nigeria is the largest, the most populous country in Africa. So to an extent, you have different regions that are extremely populous itself, and each region has big cities. So what we're doing in Jumia, we look at it in different ways. On one side, we need to serve well every city that has more than 500,000 population or 1 million population in order to deliver convenience there. Outside these secondary cities, there are tertiary cities that are smaller areas, more rural areas where we can reach. And in these cases, actually provide assortment where there is none. And then, of course, there's the most remote areas where it's even difficult to reach with infrastructure, which we're actually working towards that. So your comment on the poor of the poor, which is a statement that is difficult maybe to comment, it's more reaching where there is a population that requires retail, but there's no retail yet. And so there's a variety of cities that actually match this kind of definition. There's a very, very small cities, but there's a medium cities. And that's the beauty of Nigeria, because it's actually such a vast country that has all sorts of cities that we can actually serve. So far, the response has been good. When you serve a need at an effective way, at a convenient way, so the pricing needs to be convenient and competitive, obviously the response is good.
What makes Jumia very attractive compared to the other online retailers operating in Africa? You've definitely had some growth when it comes to online sales, online the email. You've a little led the way when it comes to e-commerce. What makes Jumia very attractive to people who use the platform?
So Jumia, it's a safe destination it's a safe and trusted destination where you can do your purchases, and that's, I think, it's a platform you can trust. And beyond the trust, you can trust it because of the service we're offering, but you can trust also because of the pricing and the convenience we're offering. So we always are extremely obsessed by getting the price right, by getting the logistic shipping fees that customers pay right, and where possible support those, and then ensuring that the customer gets what he likes. And if he doesn't, he's free to return it in the most simplest way. When you offer this package of convenience to customers, and you serve them and you execute on the promise in the best way, then word of mouth is the best way for you to grow, because customers come back, and the friends and families of customers will actually be recommended by those who purchased. And in that way, you become the preferred destination. Again, price, variety, and the promise, and bringing what was wanted by the customers in the best way possible.
How do you compare the success of Jumia in Nigeria to the rest of the countries in Africa where you operate? For example, I know you've had some challenges in other countries, but in Nigeria you seem to have done very, very well. What's the difference? What's the magic word?
I think the model is very much similar across all the countries. What changes is also I would say, of the market, the potential of the market, but also the age, the time we've been in the market. So Nigeria has been the very first country we launched. So we launched it in 2012. It was the first operations we launched. And right after that, 6 months to 1 year later, we actually launched some other countries. So the fact that we've been operating the longest here and being able actually to stabilize our brand here, it's definitely something that is great for Nigeria, but it doesn't mean that it's not present in the other markets. It's just different phases of the company. And overall, I actually want to maybe speak back at what you said. And contrary, I think we are actually the leading e-commerce across the countries that we operate in, right? So I would say that the difference is really about the reach, the business models we're actually running, the dimension of the business, and the time at which we started.
In terms of employment, how many people are employed by Jumia Nigeria and the spin-off businesses across the country?
So directly, we employ hundreds of people. Indirectly, we are actually working and enabling work and jobs to thousands of people. If you think about the fact that we work with several hundreds of logistics partners that help us deliver products across all the country. We work with several thousands of vendors who are actually selling their products online. And those vendors have their own companies that give, again, job to other people. The reach and the engine for growth and for employment that actually digital gives, and Jumia particularly, is very vast.
What keeps Jumia going?
I think the mission, I mean, to to wake up every morning and to improve people's lives through the internet and to really provide services at the most affordable way across all the country for people who look for convenience, price, variety, and eventually making happier customers. On the other side, growing businesses, because as we make happy customers, it's because we are providing businesses to grow their reach and to honestly have access to part of the market that they would not have if they were just sitting in the market, the offline market where they actually operate in. And in all of this, actually giving jobs to many people that work directly or indirectly with us. This is really what keeps on making us go. I think despite we've been here in Nigeria for 11 years, I think it's still day one, so there's still a lot to build, and I think there's still a lot also to expand.
In terms of challenges, for example, you've had like the biggest logistics farm. You're operating online. You've successfully been able to do that, but I'm sure along the way you've run into challenges here and there, especially when it comes to reaching the last mile. Reaching people where there is no internet. People want to connect with you or buy things from Jumia website, but there is absolutely no internet. How are you able to bridge that gap?
Yes, that's a very good question. So we have the so-called Jumia Force. So Jumia Force is a community of agents, independent agents, that they can join the community and make money through commissions by selling goods to end customers. So to your example, if you are living in an area that does not have internet, or simply you do not have a phone, the Jumia Force agent closer to you can help you place an order on your behalf. And by the way, if you're not aware or digitalized yet, or you're not clear on how does purchasing on Jumia work, he will also educate you on that. We have thousands of agents across the country which are there to, in fact, enable this to happen. For example, when it comes back to the rural areas and the pickup stations, we recently we started 4 months ago to activate at least 1 to 2 cities per week across the country. And when we do that, we usually have Jumia Force agents who are actually onboarded. So they were not Jumia Force agents before, they're onboarded, they explain how they can make money by actually selling goods of Jumia to customers who were not digitalized yet. And these same agents then will educate the customers on where to go and pick up their items in the closest pickup station. And this allows us to grow while also reaching people who did not know about e-commerce before.
If somebody didn't know about anything about Jumia and what you offer, what is the one thing that you tell them about Jumia? Why should somebody who has absolutely no knowledge about the e-commerce and how e-commerce works or shopping online, what would you tell them?
I would say 3 things. I would say pay on delivery. So when you buy, you don't need to necessarily anticipate the cash until you get the product, which is something that usually is stopping people to purchase. I would say free returns, because many people think that when they're buying online, if they didn't get what they wanted, they would eventually end up having lost their money, and we don't want that, absolutely. We want them actually to feel that they're in an environment where if they don't like what they got, they can return it for free for the next 7 days. And last but not least, an environment of trust, where you can trust, first of all, the products you're buying. You can trust the logistics that you're actually delivering them. And you can trust the customer service that will support you in the journey in case you need it. And eventually you can trust the Jumia brand, which is basically the oldest brand standing, playing in the e-commerce landscape in Nigeria and in Africa.
How about the fact that, for example, you deal with people who might want to take advantage of the system? They say they order stuff, they use it, and after they have used it for whatever purposes, they want to return it. How do you go about that?
A very good question. So thanks to the years we actually been operating in this field, we have a very strong algorithm and rules in place that allow us to spot the misbehavior of people, to blacklist people that are actually misbehaving on the platform in several different steps. from the prepayment mandatory all the way to the exclusion in capability to purchase. So there are certain patterns that you can identify when people are trying to exploit the platform, and on that we have invested in order to avoid that this happens.
Tell us a little bit more about this program, the expansion that you've done across Nigeria. Obviously, you've had great success operating within the major cities, but when you talk about expansion, we are talking about reaching the most rural places, the last mile, as you call it. Do you see that in terms of profitability? Do you see that maybe taking Jumia to the next level?
When you say rural area, automatically in our minds we think that this is the most remote area, further the most to any place you've been, so where there's no streets, so on. But the reality, when you look at Nigeria, the reality there's rural areas are also in between large cities, which we already serve. So you can find a rural area closer to you, actually closer to a very big city you're serving. Take, for example, Benin, Warri, Akure, right? Take, for example, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna. Between these cities, in your network move, there are rural areas that we're already serving. So because we're already going in the largest cities and in many of the most populated cities, and we've been doing it for the last 11 years, it's just a matter of serving better the legs of move we're already doing by serving those areas that were not served before, by strategically putting pickup station in the move we're already doing, and as a result, reaching more customers. So this is how we're looking at it. We are looking at our reach, which is big in Nigeria since long, and in our reach, how can we stop more to cover as many locations possible, leveraging the logistics that already is the asset of the company. And on that, we're really making quite some good progress. So we're moving quite fast.
Where do you see Jumia going in the next 5 years, especially in the market that you run?
No, it's one answer: to keep on serving the needs of our customers and vendors in the best way. And it might sound like a cliche, but it's not. It's a reality. Customers evolve, vendors evolve, the landscape evolves. When you keep the focus on your customer and your vendors, and you try really to understand what their needs are and how they're evolving, as the country evolves, the digital landscape evolves, then you know where you gotta go. And that's what we have in mind consistently.
When you've done these surveys, do you see new customers coming in, or you have more repeat customers who keep coming onto the platform?
Many new customers coming in. As much as we've been here for long, the reality is that it's a mix of the two. Obviously, returning customers is good, is because they like the platform, but we see many new customers coming in because despite we've been here for long, still many people didn't try yet Jumia. So that's also what is actually looking very promising. You can keep on growing.
When we talk about this advancement in technology, obviously Jumia runs pretty much most of its programs on AI, artificial intelligence. That's how you're able to scale and reach the remotest places in Nigeria. But when it comes to relevancy, are people really connecting with your brand? Are people connecting with the things that you sell on your platform?
But that's exactly it. It's even our job and our vendors' job to understand what people want. For example, in rural areas, especially in Nigeria, where there's a lack of electricity in many locations, what a customer might want as an entry point to his needs or her needs is actually a generator, for example, right? Followed by maybe a fridge or a freezer to save his food, some basic fashion, right? Some again, a phone to do better business. So you need to really understand what is needed for each region, because obviously different regions, different pockets, and hence different offer you want to bring there, right? And in tailoring the assortment with the right variety for what you're serving is how you grow better and satisfy the relevance of the customers at best.
Massi Spalazzi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
That was a former Jumia Nigeria CEO, Massi Spalazzi, speaking to Ndiho Media. Would like to know what you think about a Jumia e-commerce platform and the impact it's had in Africa. Share your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. And of course, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to Paul Ndiho on Substack, X, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Spotify. Thanks for